Hello guys, my name is Rizky from ACREATIVEALT. Physical large events are coming back, and I know for some of you, the professional presenters and corporate representations, you are currently busy in preparing for your next large live events presentations. One of the most important things about speaking on stage is the fact that it definitely contributes a lot on your personal brandings and your corporate brandings that you are actually representing. So I do believe having a really good photograph of you on stage is really beneficial. And I do believe when you're speaking on large events, your company would have arranged a professional photographer to actually cover the events. I'm definitely not the most qualified person to give advice on presentations. I do believe a lot of you guys are the experts on that. However, being a professional photographer who used to shoot more than 100 events a year, well, prior to pandemic period of course, I do believe I can give you a tip or two on how to look good on a presentations photo. I do find it is a waste of opportunities if let's say you are standing on such a beautiful stage that your event companies has been setting up for you, and then you have a really bad photos. As a presenter, this is what you can do. First tip is of course, well, practice and master your slides. I know this is just like a general presentation advice of course. However, throughout all the hundreds of events that I've shot, I do see people do this a lot, whereby the speakers is not actually facing the audience and the camera, but simply just facing back and basically reading through the slides. Even when I was a lecturer teaching a small classes of students, this is definitely something that people will advise not to do. So of course, being a corporate speaker, this is something that you should definitely avoid. By understanding your slides better, practice it beforehand, you will be able to avoid this. And I know really well, for a lot of large events, you would have a teleprompter below your stage. But therefore, this is another thing that you need to avoid, whereby you constantly look down to look at your slides. And of course, when you look at your photo, all your photos should look like this, looking down at your slides instead of looking straight to the audience, which I do believe it doesn't portray a really confident personal branding for you. So I do believe that even if you need to look at your slides, you can glance through the slides like this and look forward to actually deliver your speech. And it's the same thing when you're actually speaking on a panel. Typically, you have at least two people discussions like this, whereby you have another speakers actually speaking on another chair in front of you. So the common problem is the fact that when you have this kind of discussions, you tend to do something like this, whereby you only speak to your fellow panelists. So therefore, your attention will be to your fellow panelists, and it becomes like a one-on-one discussions rather than you and the partner actually talking to the audience. Therefore, just remember to, like when you're answering the questions, just imagine like you are having a dinner with many people. I do believe like when you are having a dinner with multiple people, you will actually put your attentions to different people, so you can actually focus to your fellow panelists, then after that glance it to the audience, and therefore focus to the audience, talking to another side of the audience, and as if you're talking to the photographer, an example, and so on and so forth. So just remember that you and your fellow panelists is not simply talking to each other, but you're actually having a discussion on stage with the audience. Next thing is to be aware where the camera is. If you have a dedicated photographers to cover your events, you would probably be able to recognize the person. It is probably the one person that is actually carrying a lot of cameras that is standing in front of your stage or by the side of your stage. So therefore, you can actually present by being aware on where the camera is. So an example, let's say I always prefer my left side instead of my right side. So therefore, if I were to speak on stage and I know the camera is there, I would probably try to face something like this when actually speaking to the audience. So by understanding the position of the camera, you can somewhat control on how you actually look like on the camera. Next is to wear a comfortable attire. Well, this is again just a basic presentation tips, but I can't actually tell you how many times that we actually needed to do photoshoppings, whereby, you know, like when presenters actually wearing a shirt that is too tight, the button is actually popping up, and you can see a gap in between the shirts. And of course, again, it will make yourself looks kind of sloppy. And one thing about event photography is it's unlike your corporate profiles that probably you have taken before, whereby you have a professional photographer setting up a studio for you, have a makeup artist, and basically spend dedicated time for events. Most of the time, the professional photographers won't actually have the time to do individual touch-up for each photos. We are actually required to submit most of the photos by the time the events ended, so that the clients can actually use it for social media right away. There is no time for us to actually touch up every single photos. This is just something that you need to be a bit aware of. Just wear something that is comfortable, so therefore well, it doesn't actually opens to the opportunities of wardrobe malfunction. Lastly is, of course, remember to smile. Regardless the fact that maybe your topic is actually really serious, I do believe it's important for you to be able to smile to the audience. You can actually make the audience response to you better. Your presence outside the stage is also important. So therefore, when you actually portray a really nice and approachable presence on stage, when you go down and to meet your potential clients, potential partners, whatsoever, you are someone that are approachable and people will be happy to work with you. So with that, to all presenters, corporate speakers, and of course event organizers, all the best to prepare for the events boom soon, and looking forward to see all of you guys in big events pretty soon. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.